Hello YouTube, I'm James. I just wanted to, I felt like giving this YouTubing thing a bash. I see a lot of people doing it professionally, well, somewhat as professional as YouTube can get, but I felt that there's not a lot of real, like, average Joes out there. There are a lot of people, especially the people that my missus watches, where they're ask viewers about which Prada bag they should buy. Whereas with me, nothing special. I do a normal job, not the most glamorous job. I work in retail, just trying to get ahead. So yeah, I figured I'd start this off. I got inspired by watching this one guy. He's got a real boyish charm to him. I'm not going to drop names because that's not who I am. But yeah, what he did, basically, the majority of his videos were just him talking, just saying how he feels and what he thinks about certain subjects. But that's what I'm going to do. The first video I want to do is about work, because I believe it's very important that you know who you get into bed with. Now, the job I would be talking about is something that I did in 2013 between the months of April and July, August type thing. But yeah, it was for Baskin Robbins. Now, I'm not gonna comment on the American side, even though it is an American business. I know this. I'm not that stupid. But obviously, whatever they do in America is something I have no clue about. I live in England, so I'll only comment on the ones that I can say to some degree of certainty this is the case. And this will be more a warning, like a heads up to employees than customers. But again, some of the things do affect customers as well. So decide what's for you and what's not. Now, I worked at one that's been closed down since I left. One in Tottenham Court Road. It was within a subway, and I mean the Eat Fresh type subway, not the underground. Now, the guy who owned that also owned one in Kingston, which the location is maximum 5 minutes away from Kingston's station, and one that I've never been to and don't particularly want to, in Windsor. Now, this is accurate as of Prachesh Thakur managing them. If he doesn't manage them, then you're probably grand. But yeah, if him or his owner, which I don't remember his name to be honest, if any of them are involved, I can't overly trust what they're going to be about, or what the place is going to be like, in terms of how good it is, in terms of the quality, in terms of the standards. Now, my experience was a case of every day I worked there, I was getting electric shocks by the tap. Now, in the food business, it is crucial that you wash your hands constantly. Now, reason being is when you're not working in a really high level establishment, like a 5-star hotel, you don't get gloves. When you get gloves, you can kind of get away with things, but you shouldn't. But yeah, when you're using your bare hands, you have to wash, otherwise you're going to poison a customer, and your place is just not going to get any custom, and you're going to have to find a job. So, to my surprise, I was getting electrical shocks from the water, not the tap, the water. So I convey this to my manager, Mr. Pratesh, and he goes, It's cool. Leave that with me. I leave it with him. Then I noticed the way we store things, like our chemicals, again, doesn't meet up to any sort of health and safety guideline, at least in the UK. Although I find that like the guidelines with chemicals are pretty, common sense type things. And we're keeping chemicals on top of containers. Now, I would rather it be, well, personally, I'd rather it be in two different compartments, like cupboards, because, yeah, one's poison. The other one is a container for food. Doesn't take an Einstein to see why that's a bad idea, keeping them together. But if you have to keep them together in the same cupboard, put the chemicals at the bottom, so that if it leaks onto the floor and not onto the containers. So I did that. I took an extra 10 minutes out of my life to make sure that's done. And, that just got reversed. That got undone, which really annoyed me. Because, all the person would have to do, and considering we were under 30 there, like, in terms of age, bending over shouldn't be a problem. Getting on your knees shouldn't be a problem, if you didn't want to bend over. So yeah, as the time went on, instead of getting no electric shocks, I just getting more and more and more. I'm convinced that at one point I would have to look at something, anything. It could be water, it could be the mirror and be looking at myself, but I'd get an electric shock. It's like, dude, what the hell? So I talked to him about it. I raised a concern in the most honest, most, I'm just concerned, nothing that I'm gonna start doing this or that, I just it was just a concern. And he just laughs it off. So, it's just to make sure that you don't get electrocuted. It's just to make sure that you're, perked up during the day. Okay, that's not funny. Like, I can see the humour in it, but the fact that you're not saying it because you want to make a joke. You're saying it because you're being deadly serious. Nah. Hell no. That is not funny. That is genuinely dangerous. So, as time progressed, we kept having disagreements about this.
Mommy, you could have at least helped me.
Like, we kept getting into arguments until he did something that to me was the last straw. He, little bugger. The cooling unit for our ice creams kept malfunctioning. And he brought in a supposed engineer. I don't know, I've never saw the guy's qualifications. But yeah, he came in to fix it one day and worked for a couple of days. And then the ice cream started to melt, and it wasn't particularly hot outside because it was raining. It was... Do you know the jokes about England and the rain we have there? Yeah, it was one of those bog standard stereotypical days. So how is there enough heat to melt ice cream in a cooler? I do not know. But apparently the cooler was broken again. So what he decides to do, this joke of a manager, who probably couldn't manage much unless, whatever. He has one of those desktop fans, like, the really big round ones. And he puts that on the floor, which is grand. I mean, it's got a cage. It's not like I can get my finger locked off or what have you. But he then decides that the tiny little metal, like, wires or whatever you want to call them, that forms a mesh, was making the fan be inefficient at cooling the cooler. I do hope I'm not the only one who sees a problem with that. So he puts it back on. Now, I didn't know this at first, so I obviously see it, I turn it off, screw it back on, and continue as normal. And, every day it was off, I'd put it back on and what have you. And then I asked him, because there must be a reason why it's being unscrewed. And he says, yes, so, to allow more cool air to go to the cooler. I'm like, well, mate, that's kind of dangerous. Like, that kind of health and safety breach, at least in England, is very serious. That's the kind of things you will get docked a considerable amount of points for. I'm not saying that health and safety has to be followed to the T. I know it should be followed to the T, but I know, and I've noticed that in a lots of places that I've worked, it doesn't for a couple of moments, and then it gets rectified because it just makes life easier, more efficient, and quicker. And I fully understand that. But this is a whole nother level. It's one thing to leave something somewhere for a couple of seconds before removing it, and it's a whole different kettle of fish to have blades that are spinning immensely quickly just exposed in an area where I'm going to be putting my foot, or if I dropped something I'd be reaching down to get it. And obviously when you're trying to do something fast, you'll miscalculate, you'll do this, you do that, and that becomes a very serious health and safety problem. And I raised that concern. It's like, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. That is actually illegal. And so he dismisses me. Well, he threatened to dismiss me, and I warned him there and then that if he does, it's not going to be good for him. Now, I didn't want to take it quite this far. Now, all I did, it was very modest. I called the City of Westminster Council and said, oh, well, yes, I'm an employee there, and I'd like to blow the whistle. And said, right, so this happens. And the person I spoke to was ex-military, very lovely guy. So, oh, well, that can't happen. That's ridiculous. That's downright outrageous. That's things like that happens, and even he seemed shocked of me, shocked that I was getting shocked by water. So that's something. So yeah, that's where I was posted. That's been shut down. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with my call, but I've got a bit of satisfaction out of that. Now, fast forward to 2016. I recently got myself a Security Industries Authority license to be a doorman. So I'm pursuing that as a part-time job to help my current job, as an extra bit of income. And because obviously I don't have an office number, I don't have that bellend's number or email address or any way to contact him. I don't want them to contact him because he'll paint a very bad picture of me, which is just not true. So obviously I don't have his details anymore. They got promptly deleted. So they asked me to do a 5-year work history from HMRC. Now, these are the guys who decide your tax. They know everything about your work. Well, say everything. They know every job you've had, your pay, your this, your hours, your this, your that, and etc. Now, these guys had no record. That's between April and whenever it was I finally got dismissed. In 2013, that I had a job at Baskin Robbins. How can that be? Now, I think immediately, first of all, I thought, maybe you don't have to register. Naively, again, I admit, maybe, they don't know every job you've done. However, as soon as I turned this document, it's got a job that I never actually worked at. It was complete services provider. Now, what they do, they host events. They'll provide your security members. They will provide ushers. They will provide waiters, they'll provide cooks, and you see where I'm going with this. They literally, as it says on the tin, complete services provider, one-stop shop. Now, I never had a job, I never did a single shift with them. I got the job, but I never did a single shift with them because I couldn't log into the website to book jobs. It's got them on there. Doesn't have Baskin Robbins. So that's completely dodgy. Now, unfortunately, to get that takes some time. If you've ever had to deal with governments and like government bodies, anything from them takes ages. It's detailed as hell, but it takes bloody ages. So I've waited all that time, only to see that I need to do more leg work to actually prove that I've worked there, not some cheating bellend who, went into crime for a certain amount of time. So I was praying that the bank, my banks would have some sort of record. And I say banks because at that time I had 2 bank accounts, one with HSBC, one with Barclays, one that I've now since the HSBC one that I've kind of closed. Props to them though, because they still had my records, and it was HSBC that managed to sort me out. And they gave me my work history from April to June. June to 29th. So I've got some sort of evidence to say yes, I've worked there. If it hadn't been for that, I'd be losing a possible career here. Now, security personnel are decently paid considering what they have to do. The company I was hoping to get this job with works with like your Harrods, your Selfridges, so it's a big company. It's not some piece of crap where I'm going to be having to deal with all sorts of dregs of society. And because of this one job, this tiny job, it's probably the shortest time I've ever had a job for, I'm running the risk of not having that job. So I just wanted to warn those who work with Pratesh and his boss, his financier, that this might happen to you guys as well. So yeah, just like a little notice of this is what I've been through. Don't want anyone else to have to go through that as well. Yeah, this has been James. It's been lovely talking to you and getting this off my chest. And have you please comment like there's whatever you think as and when you think it. Stay tuned. I'll be talking about a lot more things and getting things off my chest. So see ya. I'll be seeing you.